Rachana Kumar is going to join me. She's the former CTO of Vesto. So we're going to have a talk about building AI products. Welcome, Rachana. I was thinking that we sit next to our faces or the other way around. It would be fun.
We will sit in front of a photo of both of us. This is not weird at all.
Welcome. It's your first time at Slovenia?
Yes, it's my first time in Romania. Very excited to be here. Thank you.
Thanks for coming. And before we start talking about building AI products, because we already have had a few very interesting chats. I hope we didn't finish all our conversation. But tell us a bit more about yourself.
Sure.
Your
Hi.
background.
Excited to see you all. My name is Rachana Kumar. I was born in India, but have been in the US for the last 20 years. I started as a software engineer, like many people in tech. Since then, I've done a variety of things. I started my own social enterprise at some point, so I know how it feels to be a founder as well. I did a bunch of mobile apps in different industries across the globe. I worked in 5 different countries besides US and India, Mexico, South Africa, Cambodia. So it's been fun. I'm very excited to be here, but yeah, I was with Etsy for the past 11 years, and I joined Etsy when it was a startup, to then seeing the company go from about 200 million in revenue to 3 billion in revenue, and see the company go public, all the ups and downs of being at a company for 11 years. Yeah.
Thank you. That's quite an impressive career.
Thank you.
Yeah, and only in 11 years. Yeah. I think it's so interesting to start from a developer and do all these jobs and then have quite a good idea about what you want to build in the future, then do some advising. And maybe my first question would be related to AI products. I told you behind the scenes that there's a question that usually VCs or investors use, is it AI gold-plated or is it solid AI, or how much of a buzzword is your product using AI, or is it really something valuable? So how do you define these things?
That's a great question. I think when I think of AI-focused products, I think of it in 3 categories, right? One is it used for augmentation? Are you going to use AI to augment something? Is it used for automation? It can be used to automate a lot of manual tasks. Or it is used for creation. Are you going to build a completely new solution to a problem? First of all, you need to have a clearly defined problem, and then you can think of augmenting, automating, or creating. These are the 3 categories of AI-focused products I can think of. And going back to your point on AI-plated versus solid AI, I think it's a tricky question, right? Because both of them could potentially have a product market fit. If you were sitting for John's talk just before this, if the economics are not there, if the product market fit is not there, it doesn't matter what you build. I'm not an investor, I'm very much an operator. I've done some angel investing, I do startup advising, and I'm on a few boards. So I use my advisor hat as well when I have to think from the point of view as an investor. But for investors, the scale and the potential growth matters more than what technology you use. But I think now, because it's all the buzz, it's the new shiny object, everyone uses AI, and that's part of the challenge. Yeah.
Now it comes in my mind, another question related to, so that we won't call names here, but there was this company who had 700 employees, the AI one, who pretended to do AI, but actually behind it, this was human labor. So how can, I mean, it was valued for a few billions, right? So how do you know as an investor that that's not just connecting through an API to a ChatGPT AI kind of product, or is it because it's exactly like in HR, right? You want to get hired, so you write your CV with the AI, and the HR is looking using AI to find the best candidate who made the best CV with AI. So right? So how do you? What are the questions that you're asking, or what are you looking at?
Yeah. That's a great question. I'm not an investor, so this is not advice for investors necessarily. But I'm going to think of it from the point of view of either an operator within a company or a startup founder, right? Like, so don't use, again, AI is a broad field. I think AI and ML get used interchangeably quite often, but AI is a broad field. It includes machine learning, which is a subset of AI. It has AR, it has deep learning, natural language processing. There are so many different things to AI. So if you are either like a product manager, engineer, designer, or a founder of the company, the way I would think about it is like, what problem am I trying to solve, and how does AI help solve their problem? And just not using it for the sake of it. Again, LLMs are much more expensive. You don't need that all the time. Maybe a traditional machine learning model is enough at this for your particular problem. And going back to your question on like, because it's a fad and companies are getting so much investment, I think that has happened, if you look in history, during different phases of fads as well. But I do think if you are sitting on enormous amount of data, or if you have a really exciting problem that is more data focused, AI is a good potential solution then. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. So, because we're talking about building AI products, and you already defined a bit the why, what an AI product kind of really means, maybe we could go further, because it will help me as well with my startup. So, yeah, being a bit egoistic here, but I think it will help everyone. So, when we go to the product life cycle, right? What are the most important processes when it comes to teams? To what do you look at first? What do you invest the money in first? What's the priority? What are the priorities in different stages of building your AI product?
Yeah, that's a great question. In terms of the product life cycle for AI products, a lot of things in the life cycle are similar to building normal software products. Like, first of all, you start with what problem am I trying to solve for my customer, either internal, external, whether you're B2B, B2C, doesn't matter. It should always be customer focused. Like if you're a product manager, you have to use enough brain space thinking about things externally and what your consumer wants, as much as you think about how to build great products within the company. And you start with the same problem statement, but a few things are different, right? Like when you do research, the first step is like you try to do research and some prototyping. How you do research and prototyping has also evolved significantly. In the past, to build a prototype, researchers and product managers needed software engineers. Always will be software engineer in my heart. But now prototyping has become so much easier using many of these AI tools. And the next question that is different is the data part. Is your data, is your company's data ready for either augmentation, automation, or creation? And in the past as well, like you do need some data, but it's a little different to the vastness of data required, especially if you're using a LLM. And then once you launch the product, for me, what has significantly changed is in the past, you would look for bugs. You would then let it fix those bugs, then go back and iterate on it after some time. But with ML, post-launch, there are so many things to keep in mind. Is there a model drift? Is the model hallucinating? Is the model have inaccuracies in how it's suggesting? And fine-tuning, I actually think at least fine-tuning is forever in some ways. You have to keep fine-tuning the model. And even within the company, you need a solid ML ops team to make all of this happen. I can give an example. I feel like it's time to start getting into examples. This was maybe an year and a half or 2 years ago. When I used to work at Etsy, we launched a shopping assistant. This was one of the first shopping assistant launched using OpenAI. This was in collaboration with Microsoft. It was very early in the chatbot era. It's moving so fast. Every month it seems different. There's a new capability. But the chatbot was overall doing well. And we are really fine-tuned it not to have any hallucinations, not to say any swear words, not to output any negative things. And building these things responsibly is really important. But it's a funny thing, because someone was searching for a T-shirt name, T-shirt with a band name on it, like a band that they like. They were going to the concert. They were looking for a T-shirt with a band name. The band name had a curse word in it. It had a swear word.
Yeah.
So when they typed for it in the shopping assistant, said, "Oh, I don't want you to curse." But this person's like, now a chatbot is going to tell me not to. It's the name of the band.
Yeah.
So, and then they tweeted saying, "Hey, your shopping assistant, I'm just trying to say a name, and it's asking me not to curse." Then you have to go back and modify it.
Yeah.
It's like you can't just launch it and assume it's going to behave however you expect it to behave.
Yeah. Exactly this, because what I found super interesting is when I talk to people and like to entrepreneurs, like we have the big data, and one of my friends, he's actually coming, like we have the big data, and it's like, okay, what's the difference between having big data and cleaning the big data?
Yeah.
Because I think it's super important that, even with the LLMs that we use right now, right? So it's super important. The super important part is cleaning the data, not to get the data. It's easy to get information, but it's harder to get the right information or the spot-on information that you need. So when you're building a product, of course, you refine how the algorithm works or how your product works.
Yeah.
But how do you make sure that the data is, of course, compliant, not biased, and so on and so forth, and actually fit for your product? Because sometimes, you know what I mean.
It's a great question. At least I can give you a few thoughts on data, but I will explain the scale of Etsy and the vastness of data, because it really, a lot of things we are discussing depends on the scale and scope of your organization, right? Like, if it's a small company or a startup, the way I would think about this would be very different than I worked for a publicly traded company, where it's different. And also, we are in the European Union, broader, so it's different than how you think about similar things, say, in the United States or in India. So with that in mind, like, for example, Etsy had over 100 million active buyers, over 100 million listings sold by 7 million sellers across the globe. So what made Etsy's data really interesting was it was, in some ways, even though it's an e-commerce site, it was user-generated content in some ways, right? Because as long as it's compliant within Etsy's policy, anyone could come and list their item. What makes Etsy also fantastic is that it's unique and weird and wonderful at the same time. But it didn't sit into clear SKUs like in a retailer. You're in a retail-related startup, so this is very relevant for you. Whereas if you're a traditional retailer, you have clear SKUs and structured data that fit neatly into that category. So we had like 100 million plus of all this unstructured data, and search is at the heart of Etsy, right? Like if someone comes and looks for, say, a necklace, necklace is such a broad query. I should be able to, based on who you are, you like a starfish, I should be able to guess that maybe a starfish necklace is something you like. So to answer your question, I provided all these different contexts because it really, context is so important here. To begin with, if you're a smaller company, I would say like perfection in data is not always necessary, right? Like, of course, privacy is super important. User privacy is paramount, but also being compliant with all the GDPR stuff is also really important. But perfect data, the concept of perfect data might be a little bit of your enemy here.
Yeah.
You might have to tweak the data, you might have to label the data, especially if you're using LLMs. But talking about like AI and ML, like as things evolve, another big challenge is like the models in LLMs evolve all the time. A model that you used 1 year ago is completely different.
Yeah,
So
totally.
your data continues to keep changing.
Yeah.
So my suggestion would be get your data to a decent state. Even that, for labeling and cleaning up, there are a lot of AI solutions now.
Yeah.
You don't, in the past,
Yeah.
I'll try not to date myself, but in the past when I started working with data, we had to do so many things like manually in the
Yeah.
SQL server. It was very different. Like cleaning up data was months and months of work. Now there are a lot of automated tools, especially if you're a small company. First build on the existing data that you have and start testing with a smaller subset of users. Don't try to make everything perfect. And based on the performance and the errors of the initial model, you can continue to tweak your data. Because the models change so fast, either way, it's like both fine-tuning and data tweaking are forever now. Yeah. So you have to just like push the product out, test it, and learn from it.
Yeah. Yeah, this reminds me of the time when I started my career as a developer. I was doing machine learning before it was cool. So I was part of a like super cool project. It was the first filter, basically face beautification for Samsung. And I was working on the lips part. And basically, my job is to take pictures and pixels out of a lot of photos, and of course, do some mathematics, regression, and so on and so forth. But my main job was to train thousands of images and to overlay them and see if I can. I don't know, put forward the lips behind the background or the face or the other stuff. So thank God that now AI exists. But I have another question, because when we go and talk about data, and in my startup as well, it's super important to keep the customers engaged. And what I feel with a lot of the retail or like e-commerce or all these platforms, there's a huge bridge between shoppers and brands. So I kind of find like how you use data and how you build your AI product, because if you want to have a successful AI product, it means that you have a lot of engagement and you know how to engage your customers on the platform, right? So in my head, so you tell me if I'm right or not, maybe it's how you build the data, but also what are the other tricks that you're using? Like how do you use like psychology around it? What's the psychology around it? What type of data do you look at? I don't want to be too intrusive. So you clean the data and you use the data, but what are the, let's say for this year or for this period of time, what are the types of data that you look like the most of all?
Yeah, that's a good question. In terms of, there are many different ways to do this in a compliant way without invading the privacy of the user, right? Like you can build personas. You can have different personas for a, say if you're a shopping website like yours, or I know you're B2B, SaaS, but if you build personas of different kind of shoppers, and based on that persona, then your persona might be shared by 50 other people. So if you fit into that persona, then how do we show recommendations, and also building feedback loops within the user experience is really, really important. A lot of times the feedback loop can be explicit, but a lot of times the feedback loop can be absolutely implicit, right? What I mean by explicit feedback loop is like you ask the user for feedback, and they'll either through research or within your own app, and they will share that with you. But implicit is like within the product itself, you can add signals, right? Like if you are on a social media app and when they say, do you want to see more of this content, or if you like something, or if you watch a 30-second video, an entire video, then you can build feedback loops of understanding what the user wants, and for the privacy reasons, you can also build personas. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. But yeah, in order to build AI products, you use AI, you use technology. What else do you need? Kind of people. So
Yes.
you need
Yeah.
people to build AI products. So I think we both come from the corporate world, and now probably both of us into new ventures.
Yeah.
So in the corporate world, building a team and handling a team, it's for me, it's totally different than handling a team in a startup.
Yeah.
Because like I used to run a big team. I had a lot of people to help me, a lot of
Yes.
people to implement our ideas. I was always supported. But whenever you start something new and you start to build a startup based on AI, you need to probably structure your teams differently and motivate them differently. So
Yeah.
can you tell us a bit about this?
Yes, we still require people to build these things, even though the latest thing is like, do we need
Yeah.
software engineers anymore? There's a lot of automation and there's a lot of augmentation, but we still need humans in the loop for a lot of these things. I think having a fantastic team, whether you're a large company or a small startup, is still at the core of building like successful products, whether it's AI product or any other product. I can't, a team is really important. In case of a startup, it could be like 3 people.
Yeah.
But I do think if you want to not just augment things, if you just don't want a wrapper, if you want to, even for a wrapper, having people across the team, whether it's product managers, designers, software engineers, or even machine learning engineers and data scientists, them having deep expertise, or like not everyone needs to be a data scientist with a PhD in machine learning, but everyone having a good understanding of how to build AI-focused products is really important, because especially with even, at least if I think of my evolution, having been in tech for a while, 10, 15 years ago, I would spend all my team training product managers and designers, because I would hire all these fantastic mobile engineers with deep expertise in Android and iOS, but then I would have like a lot of product managers and designers who have deep expertise in web then. Right? Then I would spend a lot of time helping them get up to speed, how building apps is the life cycle and how it works is different than building web products. But I've spent the last 3, 4 years working across the company on helping product managers, designers, researchers think differently, right? Like I have a clear example of this. We were building a new homepage, home screen feed, which was more like a discovery experience where you see different products, you can like it, favorite it. So it was an interactive feed. And the way it was initially designed was not great for feeding that back into machine learning models at all. It looked fantastic. In terms of a UI, UX experience, it looked fantastic. But then our head of recommendations saw that, and she was like, this makes no sense in terms of being good for a machine learning model. Then she wrote a paper on how to build user UX and designs that are optimal for data collection for machine learning models, and then we had to do a full training of that. So it's very much work in progress. Not everyone needs to be at the same level, but things are evolving so fast. Even though I'm trying to spend more and more time learning, I constantly feel like I am behind.
Oh yeah, me too.
Things are evolving so
Definitely.
fast. So I think everyone who works in tech, irrespective of whether like you're a designer or you're a software engineer, you need to stay on top of like how AI can be your own co-pilot in making these things work. Yeah.
It's very nice that you touched the UI UX topic, because that was supposed to be my next question.
Yeah.
I come from a tech background, but then I switched before business into marketing, because I was super interested. Okay, we build all these amazing products and we have all these amazing ideas, but how do we make people know, how do we make people buy them or know about them, right? So I got an idea that like the UI UX part, it's like such a core, I don't know, it has such a core value in building an AI product, but tell me if that's true or not. Because it can be a very nice idea, it can work perfectly, but if it doesn't have a good UI UX, it's like nobody is using it. And we go again to the engagement part. But
I will go back to the previous talk, right? Like your business fundamentals and product has to be fantastic. AI is a tool. If you use a great tool, like I'm not an artisan, but like if you use like a chisel and build an ugly thing out of it, no one will buy it. Like chisel is a tool. Similarly, AI is a tool. You have to build a product that ultimately customers love, and it's intuitive, easy to use, and really helps solve a problem for them. If you look at the initial design of ChatGPT, for example, it was a very simple chat-based product.
Yes.
It was nothing like innovative in terms of UX, but it really helped solve people's problems. It made finding information really, really easy. So, yeah.
So it has to have a leverage. So if it has
it
leverage
has to
on
have a
that
leverage,
side.
and it has to have a product market fit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Would you accept a few questions right now? Yeah? Thank you so much. And does anyone have any questions besides me? Yes? If they have, maybe the microphone, because my eyesight is not that good right now. No? Okay. That's perfect, because I have another one. Maybe you could let us know what would be like your biggest advice when it comes to building AI products, or if you would start right now your own company, what were the advices that you would give to yourself?
Oh, that's a great question. I think I always wonder, right? Like if I had to start my own company without all the tech debt, because tech debt is still very much real. Like as CTO, whenever someone would be like, can this be done in the next 1 month? Sometimes the answer is yes, but sometimes like the truth about running a company with 20 years of code base is you also have a lot of tech debt there. So I would do many things differently. Like if I had to run my own company, like in the past, we have to build, figure out, when we started at Etsy, we had to figure out our own experimentation platform. Like if you go with a cloud provider and you want to build your own company, not everything has to be AI focused, but there are so many tools that with a very small, lean team, you can build. I'm advising one startup. We started with like 4 or 5 people, and this is not an AI-plated one. They have their own models, but basically the 4 founders built their own LLM, but the initial prototype, they could build so much easily than if I had to do this 10 years ago. You needed a technical co-founder. I still think it's important to have one, but you needed a full large team of engineers to put anything out. I would just build something lean, even a prototype, using many of the prototyping tools that exist, and put it out there and get fast feedback. And there are so many tools, from automation to experimentations, from observability to deployment. I think it will be a lot of fun. But most importantly, make sure you have a good product market fit, and you have expertise in the area that you're trying to build a product for the customers, right? Like, just because building something has become very easy doesn't mean anyone can build anything. You do need people with subject matter expertise. Like, if you're, I don't have any legal expertise, but if you're building a legal-focused AI company, no, you can't build it without anyone with deep legal expertise. So make sure, also you're passionate about what you're trying to build. Like building a product for the sake of it, unless until you're really passionate about that. Because if you are in a startup, it's...
Yeah, my co-founder is a fashion expert, so...
And also, it's really long hours. It is all-consuming. You have to be really passionate about what you're building. Building has become the easy thing, but make sure you have someone has the expertise and you have the passion, and most importantly, economy, like scale is really important. Like you can't build for the basic fundamentals of finance still holds true, even in the AI era. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
you.
much, Rachana.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.